So, welcome to the last Tuesday Topics shoot for season 3. This will be the last till hopefully I can get sat in September. So, I hope you'll have enjoyed what's been dropping so far. I hope you'll have enjoyed the questions on Twitter and Insta. Make sure you follow them all. This will be the last one. Now, excuse the theatrics of the question. It's the principle we're getting behind and the morality. That's what. So excuse the theatrics of the question.
Jesus Christ.
I had to add that disclaimer. So that being said, this week's question is: would you, if you could, go back and kill baby Hitler?
Nah, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
I'm kind of 50-50.
No.
Yeah, I would, because, like,
Baby Hitler.
you know, the person he turned out to be, like, you're not really that great, and, like, you have really no purpose here. Because
You're not really that great. It's that
you have no purpose
not really
here.
that great. He was all right, not that great.
Like, you know,
No.
I'm pretty sure, like,
Go on.
in some world he did some good. I know that he was, like, fought in whichever war it was and yada yada yada, but whatever happened to him after that caused him to, like, do all that shit, I don't feel like there's a need for him. There was, like, a need for him to be on this planet. So I feel like he could go, but then I guess it's kind of, the reason I'd say no is because, like, you know, shit happens that you can't really, like, plan. No one can see these things, and it has changed the way that the world kind of deals with people like Hitler, and it's changed the way how we view situations like the Holocaust and how we view people, like Jewish people. Like, a good majority of people don't see them like, you know, that they're selfish and all that stuff, but, you know, still some people do. So I feel like it's given a different perception to people that, you know, thought were bad, but I still don't feel like he had any. I don't feel.
You know what it is, fam? Like, I would say yes or no, car. Yes, because you know what it is. 90% of people are just gonna say yes, because it's Hitler, fam. You get it? If you ask, man, give me another reason other than because it's Hitler, they ain't gonna have enough really to say.
My argument is simple.
Man saying no, because hear what I'm saying. When that happened, it made a lot of people open their eyes and realize certain things were going on that they didn't even know were going on. Imagine man murdered off baby Hitler. Then 10 years later, there was like a super Hitler that come out. That if you thought normal Hitler was bad, fam, you see the way this next one will come out? Peak, bruv. You got what I'm saying? So certain times, things happen for a reason, fam. Imagine like, right, there was no Hitler. Cool, man killed off Hitler, whatever. And then some next Donny come out who didn't slip up the way Hitler did, fam. Now, different the world would be, bro.
But then it all ties back to one question. It all ties back to, like, one question. Are you born a certain kind of way, or is it due to the environment?
Nah, bro, you're not born. You know what it is?
You're
For
not
someone
born
to sit
evil,
here...
it's the environment that you're in.
Bro.
Okay.
Oh, look at you now, play devil advocate. Off you go.
Hey, Deb,
Off you go.
answer the question, and then I'll get to you lot. Deb, are you born that way, or is it environment?
Oh, it's environment, but I mean,
it's environment. But most of you lot said you would and wouldn't kill him. So there's an aspect to you that would kill him. But why would you kill him if you know it was environment?
Let me tell you something.
You know what?
Terminator.
It's a thing like.
Terminator.
See, when you're saying, would you kill me?
That's what I'm saying. Why am I?
Not even on a mad way, yeah. This is what I'm saying. Like, not even on a mad thing. And promise you're gonna think, what? Let's be real, fam. Hitler. There's bare people that's done mad things. Hitler ain't the only one. Fam, you could ask man if man would kill a lot of people. Man would say, yeah, fam.
Bro, that's what I'm saying.
Bare man out here who's done mad stuff in Hitler. But it goes back to the same saying. If man killed all these people as they were babies, we wouldn't have learned certain things. You get what I'm saying? Like, even think about, bro, if we even go all the way back to when slaves and all that shit. Imagine if we killed all these slave masters and that before they were even born in that. Fam, the world we'd be living in right now would be completely different.
Yeah, but if you kill baby Hitler, like, who's to say someone worse doesn't take his place at some point, right? And then
That's
win
a
the
gamble.
war.
Like that, man.
But it's not a
gamble.
gamble. But
That's
it's not
the
a gamble.
gamble.
It's not a gamble because, and this is I'm gonna sound such a fucking nerd for this,
It
right?
really could be.
The place that Germany was in after World War One was right
shit.
for people like Hitler to come to power, right?
Yeah.
You're just lucky. We're just, and this is gonna sound so bad. We're lucky it was Hitler because yeah, he was fucked up, right? But he was also a massive moron when it came to like military tactics.
And
He
this
was
is
a
what I'm
fucking
saying.
retard.
Like, promise, you know what man needs to understand is like, it's funny. You can apply that same logic to everything. Cause like, even on the roads, fam. Why do you think there's so much of these orders? Because they know if man don't step up, there's gonna be a next man who's gonna come around and step up for man, and he's gonna be even worse than the man who was before, bruv. It's the same thing. Like, that's how war go, fam. Literally, if one person doesn't do it, someone else is gonna do it. And 9 times out of 10, they're not gonna do it
It's
any
better
better.
the evil you
They're
know
gonna do
than the
it
evil
10
you
times
don't.
worse.
I was like, but I feel like with the whole Hitler situation, you have to look at it as like, this wasn't a necessary step in history that we needed to take. That's why I'm kind of seeing like you could have like killed him because this wasn't. I don't feel like the Holocaust was a necessary thing to happen because it didn't. It changed the world as in how we see threats like Hitler, but it also damaged a lot of people, and it's made a lot of people feel some kind of way about who they are because of the religion that they follow. And I feel like that in itself isn't something that should be necessary, because you should be able to live your life freely and not be judged for like your religion or anything like that. But because of the Holocaust, there are people in this world that kind of still have the same views as Hitler, and it's just kind of like they're not necessary views to have. Like, I don't feel like the Holocaust was a necessary thing to happen.
But
Yeah,
the thing
yeah.
about it is right, is that it had to. It's not that it had to happen, but the way it happened, it couldn't have happened any other way, because for one thing, basically, what the climate that Germany was in at the time basically meant that people need to blame someone for the mass poverty,
Yeah,
right?
I get that.
And the only people who were mainly profiting were from the Jewish community, but that's because they had a tight-knit community, so they were all taking care of each other, right? And so it just came to a situation where they just end up blaming someone, right?
Yeah, but I feel like everyone's quick to do that. Like when shit hits the fan, especially when it comes to war, countries are always like, okay, so I fucked up, but I'm not gonna let anybody else fuck up. So let's pick somebody else to like, throw the blame on.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you're looking at like these weren't exactly the most sane people. I mean, Italy, which was the only other big sort of Axis country, right? Mussolini started an entire war with Abyssinia, right? Just so he could stay in power, literally, so he could go, if you don't support this war, I'll kill you because you're not being patriotic. That was his entire thing. I just think it's better that we know, if you know the outcome of something, it's a lot better than taking a risk on like killing baby Hitler and then it being like, oh, it could be better, or I come back to my like normal timeline and the world is fucked beyond belief. That's what I'm saying. Is like, because it was the perfect breeding ground for some crazy fucker.
Yeah, it was space and opportunity for someone like Hitler. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask this.
It's a thing like, go on.
All right. Do you not think you have those views because no one here is Jewish? Well, as far as I know, no one here is Jewish.
Nah, fam. Let me tell you something. Like, it's a thing that you see me. I feel like, I promise you know me. Obviously, Aaliyah, Dev, you lot don't know me, innit? Promise you know me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really give a toss about what no one thinks. You feel me? So I keep it as open as I can. I'm not biased. I feel like you don't have to be Jewish to understand the pain that they went through. Yep. Get it? You'll never be able to fully sympathize. It's like, promises like going to a white man and telling him sympathize with slavery. You will never be able to fully do that. He can put himself in your shoes and try to think about it as much as he can, but that's all man can do. But I don't feel like you need to be Jewish in order to understand that what they went through was bad. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, to the natural human eye, fam, natural common sense, fam, you'll know Hitler was a mad guy, fam. The stuff that he done is mad. You feel me? Like, unless you have
Yeah.
something towards Jewish people or your mind's just set different, majority of people know what happened to them weren't right. You get it?
Yeah, like
Whether
from what I know, I don't know anybody Jewish, but I don't feel like I had to be Jewish. Like, okay, I study French, and one of the books that I had to study for my A levels was a book about this Jewish family, and they had to flee. So their 3 older siblings went before, and you follow the story of these 2 young boys, and they're like 10 and 12. So at this point, I already feel bad because I'm like, okay, at the age of 10 and 12, I couldn't do shit for myself. So imagine having to like pick up and leave an entire country, and you just follow their story. And it's because the man that wrote the book, he was living in the time, so this is his story, just changing the names and stuff like that. And on the first page of the book, you open the book and he says, "This isn't a story. This isn't a fairy tale. Like this was my life. This is what happened." And you just read it and you just think, this actually happened to people. You know, like people have to go throughout their life knowing, you know, I lost my family and like relatives to the Holocaust just because of who they were. You know?
it is with that one though, like, and it's gonna sound so cold, man, but this is just me coming from where I've come from and what I've seen. Obviously, I'm working now, but I've seen certain things like every year or every couple of years, there's a mad thing that happens. Like even me, and my brethren was talking about it. Fam, Palestine got took off the freaking map, fam. Like, do you ever feel like every day man's hearing something new, fam? Even people, bro, niggas die every day, fam. Every day, bro. Like, the number of people man's lost, fam, is a thing that as much as it sounds cold, man can't sit down and just sit and think. As much as that man feels for these people because it's happened, and I understand what you've been through, man can't stop life because something's happened. Get it? If man stopped every time a mad thing happened, we wouldn't progress. We wouldn't be where we are right now. You feel me? Think about Taliban, terrorists, all of this mad stuff, explosions, 9/11, all these mad things. If life froze every time these things happen because people have lost family members or because a tragedy has happened, fam, man wouldn't get anywhere. Yeah, it's sad the things that happen, but you got to keep moving forward, fam. You can't really do a mad thing. Word. Can't really, just got to keep moving forward. But some people don't really understand, they don't empathize, so it's a bit mad.
Hear that? I hear everyone, yeah? I hear what everyone's saying.
Oh, here comes Devil's Advocate. Here we go. Come
No,
on,
it's
Devil's
not.
Advocate is entering the chat.
No, it's not even like that. I just want to re-ask the question because I feel like it's taken a different kind of turn.
Be careful now, you know. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I feel like the question's taken a different kind of turn. Like normally the debate is morality, but that's not really what we're discussing.
Wait, did you just try and do a piece?
You get it? Like
I feel
it's no, go on.
No, because it would. I feel like no, you couldn't kill him because, you know, these are monumental things in history that people have to like learn about, and it was a moment in history that really opened the world's eyes to people like him. You know, like people thought, you know, it couldn't get worse, or you know, there couldn't be someone like after the war. You know, it couldn't get any worse for any of them, and they feel like they needed to see a bigger threat so they can get themselves together and kind of change how they deal with certain situations and just change how the country in itself works. Because after World War II, Britain really had to like look at itself and just go, okay, we can't keep doing stuff like this. We can't keep forking out the expenses to continue to fight all these wars. So what are we going to put in place that are going to kind of limit all these things? And they've done that. And those treaties have been signed, and those treaties still stand to this day. That's why there's not been a massive European war, you know, in our lifetime. It might be pending.
Wars and all of that, like.
I mean, to be honest, right?
But this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know about you.
The whole reason World War II started was because of the whole failure of the League of Nations, and then you've got like then they made the United Nations, and so
that's falling apart.
Yeah, you've got a system. They've built systems to stop it.
Yeah,
So I think, that some good came out of it. I mean, to be fair, Aaliyah's right in the sense that it shouldn't have happened in the first place. But would I go back and kill baby Hitler? No. Because at the end of the day, I know how it ends. Which is very good.
It's just hit me, yeah, that in terms of any big change that the world has seen, any big change has always come from something tragic.
Yeah, it's the way of the world.
Every big advancement's come from war, mate.
Yeah. Comes from war.
So, as I said, rarely do I come here and actually give my personal opinion, but I personally wouldn't.
Ground is shaking.
I wouldn't, not because he isn't worth killing. That's not it. But it's more so because without everything that had happened, the world wouldn't have changed in the way it did. And Dev, you know what? I wanted to try and rebuttal against what you were saying, but I couldn't because you're right. Like, if it wasn't him, it would have been someone worse. Ha, you're funny.
Yeah, you're funny.
I had to. I saw an opportunity.
Yeah, and I get it. But yeah, no, you're right. If it wasn't him, it would have been someone else. It would have been. That's just it. And maybe the person was better. But likelihood is the person would have been worse.
Yeah. True. And actually, if you look at it wasn't, Hitler was really bad. But it's the only reason Germany lost that war was because he made bad decisions on from like a tactical point of view. Best example, Battle of Britain, right? They were bombing RAF bases so we couldn't build planes and send them out quick enough. They were about, as historians have worked out, about 2-3 weeks away from winning that war and taking over Britain.
One fuck up.
Literally, one pilot basically accidentally bombed a block of flats in Germany.
Smoke went up.
Right?
Planes were made.
And he went against all of his generals. He went start bombing the cities, and because he said that, we won the Battle of Britain. That's just one example of how he was just because he was insane and had no ability to do military tactics. That made him the best candidate for like being the leader of a war. Because imagine if you were as insane as Hitler, but then also like some strategic genius.
Do you know what made no sense to me though? He was actually a soldier in the military.
Oh my God.
It's not as if to say he didn't know what he was doing. He had a plan, but because he was so power hungry and everything that he wanted to do kind of got to his head, he was just like, I'm just going to go mental and just wreak havoc. He didn't think about it strategically, even though he had the knowledge.
We haven't even got onto the topic of the fact I wouldn't want to kill a kid.
What?
See, this is what I'm saying. The reason.
I really would feel bad. Like, I'd feel like I'd be like more useful trying to teach Hitler not to kill people.
The ways of life.
Then come out here like my grown self to an infant child and kill them. I feel like I'd feel quite bad for that.
I feel like I wouldn't.
Was saying, the question didn't even go there.
Talking about it, I wouldn't kill him, but I would try to teach him like the ways of like how I was raised. Obviously, I can't, force you to sit down and be like all loving because there are just going to be people as well, that
you ain't allowed.
Shit that happens. Yeah, but I would teach him like, they're not your enemy. I think the worst thing about it is the fact that he was saved by someone who was Jewish in the war. I was like, how did you get from thanking this man for saving your life to turning around and just going?
Poverty does that to you though, like being dirt poor and not being able to feed your family and stuff will do shit like that to you.
But did he kill his wife and kids and dog?
No, he didn't
and
have
then
kids.
Himself.
He didn't have kids, and it was like joint suicide, I think. And then I
don't feel like it was joint, but
I feel like if you were Hitler's wife, you wouldn't want to be alive.
No, I wouldn't have got married once. Because you see the crazy before you marry a person.
Yeah, but there is also the potential that she was equally as crazy.
I mean, she didn't open her mouth to speak, so we don't really know. We didn't hear from her. We only knew that she was dead.
Does anybody have any last words before we cut? Actually,
Yeah, I'm not killing a kid.
Yeah, I'm not killing a kid. I would try to teach
But I mean,
him.
like, if you got like, if you pick like teenager Hitler when he was like a little fucker, do you know, like teenage
but
years,
he's
like,
already
proper
learned.
rebellious prick.
He's already
But I
learned
don't feel like
most of
that was
what they
learned.
can do there.
I don't feel like learning to kill them was what he was taught. Learning
Oh,
to
actually-
not like them.
Yeah,
Actually,
exactly.
I
And
feel
by
like-
a teenager, that's already ingrained, so you can't reverse that now.
Yeah, but no, but I don't. But the thing is, he
So
fought in
yeah.
World War One. He fought in World War One. I think he was a decent person then.
Yeah. And
For
he
the
was,
most part.
he was saved by a Jewish person, and then after that,
So I
whatever
feel like
happened to him,
there's some bullshit went on in between. So there's got to be in between there,
someone
isn't it?
hurt him badly. Enough for him to just go, I'm just gonna slaughter an entire population.
Do you know what? It'd probably easier and far better if you went back in those times and tried to fix the economic crisis that was going on in Germany. I feel like that would probably be a much better situation.
Yeah. Instead of killing Hitler, help Germany by giving them money, not necessarily money for weapons, and not necessarily, like pull a couple scientists and a couple crazy people from the country and put them somewhere safe and alone, and like re-stimulate the German economy. And I don't feel like none of that would have happened. So I agree with Dev. Just go back, change the economy.
And that way, I do some good without killing an infant.
Well,
And an entire population.
this has been the last episode of season 3 Tuesday Topics. I hope everybody watching, and even you lot, have enjoyed this. Please go back and watch the other episodes if you haven't. Everybody's socials will be in the description below. As I said, I hope you like season 3. I hope you stick around for season 4. If you have any questions, if you have any response to what anybody has said in this video, please go to the description and give your 2 cents. Aside from that, this has been Promise and season 3. I hope you lot have enjoyed. Goodbye.